Hi, it's time for G Suite in 30 Minutes, Part 2. How to combine and connect your G Suite apps and tools. This webinar is presented by Terry Gustafson and moderated by Jamie Trujillo. And it's a production of the New Mexico Distance Education and Learning Technologies. For G Suite for Education, we did a part 1 for G Suite for Education, and here's a little overview of what it is. It's formerly called Google Apps for Education, but they renamed it now to G Suite for Education. It's a suite of different productivity tools to help students and teachers interact across different devices. Throwback Thursday. Did everybody realize it's Throwback Thursday? There's going to be a poll coming up. If you would like to get your devices out, I have a poll to help us start this G Suite for part 2. It's time to Google down. How many G Suite apps can we name in 1 minute? So let's go on and get on there and let's respond to this poll at pollev.com/Terry Gustafson or Terry Gus 040. So while we're waiting, we'll play a little music to entertain you and we'll see if we can get some responses. Let's just see how googly are you. Time to Google down. Throw as many apps as you can out there in 1 minute. We're responding at pollev.com/Terry Gustafs 040 if we have any live viewers. And if you just joined us, we're Googling down. Oh, we got a Google Classroom. We got one app thrown out there. Yes. We want to see just how many apps you can smash out there because this is kind of the theme of this webinar. Google Forms, very good. We've got an inferno of apps going here. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's get right on into this. Go to the next slide. And we'll start talking about the G Suite of Education apps. We saw a couple apps being thrown out there. There's many that we can combine. For example, included in the G Suite of Education apps is your basic Drive, your Gmail, Hangouts, Docs, Forms, Sheets, Slides, and this comes basically standard with your G Suite of Education apps and your Google Classroom if you have an account. Combined with the G Suite of Education apps, you can find tons of free things in your Chrome web store, such as Pear Deck, Duolingo, Loop Collage, Google Draw, extensions. Extensions work within your browser. They're very easy. You just click a button and they're free in the Google Chrome store. Things such as Screencastify, Google Translate, and awesome screenshots. We can also shorten our little URLs with something called an extension called Google URL Shortener. What's interesting is not just as single tools. These are tools that are powerful alone, but they even work better when you work them together. So a lot of people call this, I've heard the word app smashing, and what that means is you're smashing different apps and tools together. So I was going to show you a little bit about what that means and how powerful it is when you work them together. Starting simple, you could take an app that you already know, for example, Gmail, and you're just going to simply combine it with another. So Google Translate is something you can find in your Chrome web store. And what it does, it puts a little button up in your tools, and Google Translate can translate things for you. So, for example, let's say you have your email open. And let's say you have a lot of students that are non-English speaking students. Well, just by clicking the little Google Translate extension, voila, you can have your email translated into 100 different languages and back and forth. So this allows you the power to communicate across global scenes here. So here I think I've translated it into Chinese with just the click of a button. Then when you're feeling a little bit braver, you can start adding more apps that might increase collaboration, such as Hangouts. So here, what I'm going to try to present is Gmail and how it works well with Google Calendar and how you can incorporate Hangouts to really increase collaboration. Okay, so we all have standard in our email calendar app. So let's say we wanted to have a meeting and invite a few different colleagues, but they aren't in your office, and so you can't come together in person. Well, this is a way where you can go and you can collaborate no matter where you are. So first thing we need to do is open our calendar, and it's as simple as seeing the little plus on the bottom right-hand corner. So we're going to pick the plus because we want to have a meeting. And we'll have all kinds of different options once we click that plus. For example, we can schedule our time, we can schedule our date, we can decide if we just want to have a face-to-face meeting, or we have the option to click a Hangouts meeting, which is like an online conference. If any of you have ever used Skype, it's similar to that. Not only that, but we can click the box that says that we want to invite them, and it automatically can invite them through their Gmail. So we've used Gmail, Hangouts, and Calendar here. And you don't have to type the email. It'll automatically send the email to your recipients or the people you want to invite with the time and the information. And they just simply have to click yes. And if they have a Google Calendar set up, it will automatically, if they click yes, view into their calendar. So no stopping what you're doing to go write it in your calendar or look things up. It's already there. You can have a reminder once you put it in there that will remind you, okay, you have a meeting coming up, and there you go. Google Hangouts is one of my favorite tools for collaboration when it comes to the G Suite apps, because it does go so well with all the other things that we have. If we're hanging out in Google, or I mean in a Google Hangout, we can share screens, which is really neat because we can bring up docs that we can collaborate on live, whiteboards, and we can draw. So the next little break I wanted to have was for us to try to actually do some collaboration. So you will be seeing a little link in your chat box. Click on that link and dance on over to collaborate with us using Google Draw. So we'll give you a minute to click on that link. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and dance on over. And we are going to bring up the draw, and we're going to see how that works with collaboration. Oops, I lost my music, but okay, so if this is working, what will happen is if you're in a Hangout and you provide this link will take them to this page where we have our document, and I have shared this document. So people who would come onto this would be able to go ahead and add to this. And what would happen is when they did come on live, they would get their little picture up here along with mine, and we'd have different colors to tell who was who. And so maybe you could insert a text box. And I don't like that. Maybe I wanted to change that to goodbye from Terry. We could introduce ourselves on here. We could draw on here. If we're not a big talking person, we could insert images on here. We could upload them from the computer, search the web. A little box will show up over here. Let's say I wanted an image of a dog, for example.
And just to cut in, Terry, I apologize, but I tried putting the link in the chat box, everyone, for YouTube. It is not allowing me to put the link in. I'm not sure why YouTube isn't allowing it, but it gave me an error saying that I would have to remove any web addresses. So apparently, YouTube does not allow me to put a link into the chat, so I apologize.
Okay, so no problem. I kind of just wanted to show you around here and show you how it would work. So if somebody were to come in here, because I have shared this doc, they would actually appear up here. A little picture of them would appear up here. So, and then we would have all different people's responses on this. So I'm going to go back to our little slideshow here, and we'll present again and go on to the next thing. Okay, so these were the basic things, and actually the basic G Suite of apps for education. We can actually combine all of these even. So it's not just Google Classroom. We can combine Google Sheets into Google Classroom. We can combine Google Sites within our classroom. We can make a form that creates a spreadsheet, a response spreadsheet. So these are all meant to work together. What I'd like to do is kind of show you, well, here's our Chrome store and our apps and extensions. These are things that actually add on and make it more powerful. So I want to show you a little bit of, I made a classroom here to show you how these work in particular to classroom. And this is where you can really feel the collaboration. So I've made a demo classroom just for this G Suite Part 2. To show you how it works together. We just were looking at a Google Draw. You might, in a classroom, want to do an assignment that incorporates different kinds of learning styles and things. So by using Google Drawings, you can share a copy of a Google Drawing with your classroom, where they can just take these simple text boxes and just move numbers. This one, for example, is them doing equivalent fractions. So what they're doing is very simple to create. We just made text boxes for all of this. This was a text box. All these numbers started as a text box. I just copied them and put different numbers in. So maybe you want your students to go ahead and move these around and then print a copy out for you. So if I'm sharing, making an equivalent fraction, maybe I'm moving my 2, so we just hover over the 2, hover over the 3. It does work. And we would just drag them. So I don't want to make it bigger, I just want to hover over it. There we go. And so what happens is we drag the numbers over here. Now they can work as pairs if they share this. When they are done, they can return and make a copy of this. So each student would have a copy of that. So that's incorporating the draw with the classroom. Here, another collaborative tool. This comes from one of the apps that you find in the Chrome Web Store. It's called Padlet, World of People. It not only, this is good for introductions, where you're going to double click on something, and let's say you're shy and you don't want to put your picture in there. Maybe you want to represent yourself with some music. You would just double click on there and you could add a link. You could add a picture, you could just add text, you can add a video, and that can tell you a lot about somebody. We can respond to other people's here. That is using an extension or an app, I'm sorry, from the Chrome Web Store with your classroom, and that is shared. We can incorporate YouTube videos by using a YouTube video here. This is a BBC documentary of the number 1, literally the number 1. You can create a shared doc that goes with that as they watch to guide them as they're watching, and they can do as in groups or in pairs. They can share and collaborate on this, where they're allowed to type into this and then present it back. So by using more than one, it really works out kind of neat. One of my favorite things to do is to use something called Screencastify. Up here, if you see this little film strip that's way up here, this is something you'll find in your Chrome Web Store. It's called Screencastify. In combination with that Screencastify, if you see the little Z way up here, this is called Ziteboard. So Ziteboard is an online whiteboard. You can work in real time with this and live to collaborate. What I did here was I actually used Classroom in combination with Siteboard, in combination with the Screencastify. And what I intended to do was to make a video using the whiteboard to explain subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. So this was very easy to create and very easy to share. I've had a lot of students that have this problem. Instead of re-teaching it all over again, they have this. They not only have this in classroom, they have this on their mobile phone if they happen to be outside of the classroom. They can share this with another student. These are all using text boxes from Google Draw. In fact, I incorporated a document into this. That's where the instructions are. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 different apps I'm probably smashing within this one. And it's one of my favorite things to do. So it really incorporates the power of what you have. Here, where I have mixed to improper, that's an actual doc that I put in there. And then I copied some problems from another. So it was very easy to create, and I really enjoyed doing it, and the students really like it, and they're asking for more. So that is what you call it, real app smashing. In here, I also have this incorporated into my classroom. Another thing you can incorporate within your classroom is Google Sites, creating a website for your classroom. Creating a website that might show them what assignments are due and things like that. If you go to your About page, you can incorporate calendar into your classroom. And with this, we're also incorporating that Hangouts that I talked about earlier, how the power of Hangouts and the power of being able to invite somebody and not be in the same room, invite guest speakers and things like that. So your students also can use this to talk to each other and to have meetings and maybe debates and things like that, or to bring in guest speakers. They can use YouTube. What better way to show that you know something is if you teach it. So they can bring in YouTube. They can actually go on the calendar here and arrange different appointments themselves for group work. So it's very cool when you start combining all the different things. That's when you really see the power of collaboration. So one of these assignments I have here actually combines something called an Ed puzzle, which is a video where you can stop and insert questions in between to make sure that they are understanding or to check for understanding. I combined this was actually about how numbers came around. I combined that with a Google Draw, or actually a Google Doc about the Stone Age and cave paintings that were found. So these were the drawings that were found in a cave in Spain and could be the first kind of way that they communicated numbers. So we have a shared document here where we can answer the following questions about it. And as you can see, I have some students who answered some questions here. And in combination with that, your assignment might contain something about creating a number system. So you are allowing all different kinds of ways to address your students' understanding, for them to represent their student understanding. In this one, they're just taking this doc and they are creating their own number system. So maybe they count one fish as one fish here and two fish as two fish, and then we bring this back and we share it all together. So they make a copy of that. Okay, so that was the classroom, and that's where you can really see some of these G Suite things being combined. Going back to my presentation, we've got about 10 minutes left. So we talked a little bit about Google Classroom and combining all these different things into Google Classroom. So if you have not used any of these before, what happens is they're all located in what you would call your Google Drive. And what's nice about this is you're not carrying all of this with you. This is not like piling up like in boxes on the side of your wall in your bedroom. This is something that is portable that you can access from a device, a mobile device. You can access from somebody else's computer. You never lose the work that you have put into there, your photos, your classroom. And this, in turn, is good for students because they always have access to their classroom. They always have access to their docs and their drives and their resumes and the things that they have made. Um, if I haven't talked about Google Sheets already, Google Sheets is actually, well, let me talk about Google Forms before that. Google Forms is where you can create and collaborate on quizzes and tests and things like that and surveys. And what automatically happens within your Google's Forms is that it can create a response sheet. So you get instant access to your surveys and instant access to your tests. So you have time to go and remedy something. If a student is struggling, you see it right away. These are simple to use. They automatically will collaborate with the forms will automatically give you a spreadsheet. If I have time, we'll go and look at that. What I'm using for this presentation in particular is Google Slides. Within this presentation, I have already used the different kinds of apps. I've used Google Draw and inserted it in there. I've used Screencastify. I've used my little extensions. So within this whole thing, we have 3 or 4 apps going on. Google Sites isn't on here, but creating your own website is one way to keep in contact and keep the communication flowing. So let's see. So I wanted to tell you some of the Chrome Store apps and extensions I used in this presentation. And you can just type in, if you have the G Suite of apps, this is free too. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of things in the Chrome Store apps and extensions. The things that I said were used in this presentation include Screencastify, Hangouts, YouTube, Awesome Screenshot, Google Translate, Google Drawings, Padlet, and this is just a few out of many things that you'll find in there. We also have something you can include called a blogger that's free. Blogger allows you to create free blogs, and your students can enjoy blogging with each other and engaging. You could blog with your colleagues and things like that. Okay, so we're going to try another poll here. There it is. Oops. So this is a everyone's on poll, and this is actually incorporated in your slide presentation. So if you are out there and can access this poll at pollev.com/Terry, GUSTAAFS040, what you're going to do is you're going to click on as many and smash as many apps as you can, and we'll just give it a minute to see if anybody's out. And oh, we've got some things popping up, I think. We're smashing some things by clicking on some apps, and these apps are Drive, Sites, Google Classroom, Hangouts. So you can see how we can incorporate these things within our presentations, how we can incorporate different apps within our classroom, within our daily lives, actually. I mean, how many of us Google has become huge. Google's not just a thing, it's a verb, it's a place, it's a way of living. And so, and it's all just in one place. Okay, so we got a couple of different clicks here. So, and it's very easy to use. I'm very simple when it comes to these things. I don't have a whole lot of time to waste to learn something, but we are here and we're trying to help. If you have any questions, what I'd like to do is invite you to email me at terry@nmdelt.org. Please come check out our website because there's much, much more. There's recorded webinars. There's all kinds of things, and we are at www.nmdelt.org. Faith has done a wonderful job with our NMDelt blog spot, so come check that out. And remember, we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter. Come and look at our page and like us. We may have a couple announcements to make. We have some exciting things coming up ahead. And Jamie, if you would like to take it over and create some announcements, again, I thank you for joining us, and I'm going to hand it over to Jamie.
Thank you so much, Terry. Just a reminder that we do have another Tech Talk for ESL coming up on February 22nd. I will be sending out an email very soon with details about how to access that webinar, the title, and description. Also, on March 2nd, we will be having our second annual NMDELT virtual conference. That will be a full day of back-to-back webinars, 2 webinars an hour. And please note that just like all of our webinars, if you cannot attend live, you can view them after the fact on YouTube. And we will have all of those available for you very soon, as well as an email with our whole schedule of webinars for the day. Thank you all so much for attending today's Tech Talk, and we hope that you have a great rest of your day.